been over 3 years since the release of ChatGPT, and I still see most people using AI like a search engine. They type a question, they get an answer. They say something back, it responds. But there's a new kind of AI tool called an agent harness that really changes what is possible in your work with AI. It can take actions on your computer. It can follow a multi-step task. It can run commands. It can edit and move around files. But first, there's one concept you must understand. The context window is the single most important resource that you have to manage. Think of it like a desk. When your desk is a gigantic mess with piles of things all over the place, you spend half your time just rummaging through the piles. Most of the best practices that I'll talk about in this video have to do with managing this one constraint. Let's go ahead and open up Claude Code in the Mac desktop app. This is a completely clean pro account, which costs $20 a month. And I've turned off all the memory, all the user instructions, preferences, connectors, everything. So what you see here is exactly what you will see with a brand new Claude Pro account. This is something that took me a while to realize, is Claude Code has access to its own documentation. Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, has actually done a lot of work to make all of its latest documentation available on the web in a format specifically designed for LLM consumption, which means it's become much easier and far more reliable when you ask Claude a question about itself for it to either already know the answer or to go find the answer. How does plan mode work and how do I activate it? It's searched and documented plan mode features and then given me a nice, simple, clean explanation of what it does, when to use it, and how to activate it. Speaking of plan mode, you don't want to set off one of these powerful AIs off on some path only to find out at the very end that it took the wrong approach, it made some incorrect assumptions, or maybe the whole strategy and the whole way of thinking about the problem, it got wrong from the very beginning. It's helpful to have a conversation about how they plan on tackling this problem. That is such a useful way to tackle problems that it's actually become a built-in feature of Claude Code. Code always works inside a folder, also known as a working directory. All of the files and documents and data that I'm going to provide to it are stored within this working directory. And also, anything that it happens to create as part of our collaboration should be stored in that same folder. I'm going to choose a folder which is related to a local nonprofit that I'm starting with a friend to promote innovation in the small Mexican town where I live. I'm going to go ahead and give it that folder, which contains some notes and some documents and some things we've created. You can now see SV context right there. And then I'll switch into plan mode, and then I'll say, here are all the notes and documents related to Silicon Valley, a local nonprofit we're starting to promote innovation in our Mexican town. How do you recommend we go about forming an entity for this? And keep in mind that we are in Estado de Mexico, so look up the relevant regulations for this specific region. You'll notice the first time that you're working with any new folder, any new working directory, it's going to ask if you trust it. And just take a moment and actually think about that. Do I actually trust everything that is in that folder? Is there any chance that there could be something malicious or something that someone else I don't know put in there? Because Claude Code has so many powerful abilities, it will often ask you for permission if it's going to take higher stakes actions. I always tend to just say always allow to give it as much freedom as possible. You can see it's doing a web search to look up different regulations for this region. It has a follow-up question, which is, what do you want me to do next? These LLMs are always wanting to just jump as fast as possible into the next step. But I actually don't want it to do anything. I just want it to tell me, just in general, what the plan would look like. So let's look up here. It's summarizing what was in the working directory that I gave it. It's recommending an asociación civil. I guess that's a type of entity. And notice that now that it's finished thinking, there's this kind of little, almost like a pop-up window that is different, that looks different from the normal chat. And this is how you know that this is a plan. This is like a special plan format. You can see here that there's a context, there's a deliverable, which is the research summary I asked for with what its recommendation is, the legal framework, step-by-step formation process, etc. And then verification, which is how the LLM can verify, can check whether this work is correct. This looks pretty good, but I'm just going to add one thing here, which is include a section about how we might fund the creation of this entity, whether from government sources, other nonprofits, grants, the private sector. You can see here, it's done comprehensive funding research, and now it's going to update its plan to include a new funding section. And there you go. It's the same document in this plan pop-up. And I just want to check, okay, good. It's added quite a comprehensive section on funding strategies. I could ask for more changes, go back and forth, but I'm going to go ahead and approve this plan by clicking this check mark right here. You can see it's now going to do some writing, so it's asking me for permission, and there you go. So the document that it created, which is the action that it took, is saved right there. You'll notice it saved it within the same working directory that we were working in, and there it is. Let's go ahead and open it. It's saved in Markdown format. Can also do other formats if requested. In general, plan mode is most useful when you're making complex changes to a lot of different files and you want kind of a roadmap up front before it starts doing any of that. It's really useful if you want Claude Code to explore an unfamiliar set of files, but you're afraid to actually make any changes. You just wanted to read only and not make any edits. It's really useful for high stakes situations. If you're working with, for example, code, where one little change could break something, plan mode is your friend. And finally, just as with human collaborators, it's really ideal when you want to collaborate, you want to go back and forth, you want to iterate, not just enter one command and then have it, launch off into the void. In my experience, the few minutes that you spend upfront in plan mode can save you hours and hours down the line trying to correct all those mistakes later. And again, this is a way to keep the desk clean. If you go back and forth and Claude Code has a lot of failed attempts at a problem, those failed attempts will actually pollute the context window. It's really best to try to catch mistakes way upstream before they happen so that Claude Code doesn't get confused with all these wrong turns. With more sophisticated tools like Claude Code, you'll quickly find yourself working with a large set of documents. You start with 2 or 3, but then it's soon 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100. A new problem really starts to arise, which is how do you tell it which file or document you're referring to? And this is actually very relevant for this specific project, because if you look at our working directory here, this is an export from Evernote that contains around, I think, 10 notes that are from a wide variety of sources. All of that is rich kind of source material, but it's not authoritative. There might very well be, in fact, I'm certain that there is stuff in there I don't agree with, that I don't want to borrow, that is possibly even completely contrary to all of our values. So I want to be very precise with what I'm asking. So for example, I could ask it something like, contrast my research in, and then I'm going to do the @ symbol, which brings up this little window of all my options. And I'm going to select SV Notes, which is my Evernote notes, with the founding document we created at the foundational document that I'd created previously. The Evernote file is actually too large for it to read all at once. So it looks like what it's doing is it's breaking those notes up into sections, into batches, reading them one by one, and at the same time searching for key thematic content. And here we go. That took around 4 or 5 minutes. How Silicon Valley differs from other nonprofits, the distinctive synthesis, enterprise positive but not enterprise centric, interesting. Arts as methodology, not decoration, and the Latin American context makes total sense. And then the biggest tension I see between your research and your founding document is the governance gap. My notes show deep interest in governance innovation, but we use conventional nonprofit governance. That's kind of interesting. This would be a great thing for us to raise in our meetings and actually talk through what that would look like for us. So, @references are a pretty small feature. They allow you to be much more direct and much more precise, which of course keeps your messages shorter, which also limits how much you're filling up your context window. Again, clean desk. What if Claude Code could clean its own desk. One of the fastest ways to fill up your context window and thus degrade the AI's performance is to have one of these long, meandering conversations that kind of touch on all sorts of different topics. To address this, Claude Code will automatically notice when its context window is close to being full, and it will do something called compaction. Compaction just means it summarizes the whole previous conversation, the key points, key milestones, key decisions. There's also a way that you can take control of that process. For example, let's say that this conversation keeps going, gets longer and longer, and I start running up against the limits of my context window. What I can do is just say a / compact. This is called a slash command. Anytime you start writing with a /, it will tell you all the different slash commands that are available. And the one that I'm going to demonstrate is compact. And then I can give it more specific instructions. I can say, focus on the governance issue and what we need to do to solve it. So basically what I'm saying is, in this whole back and forth conversation that we've spent 10 or 15 minutes on, I'm really focused mostly on this one thing. So what I wanted to do is to clean its desk, but preserve on its desk the small set of things that specifically have to do with this one issue, which I've decided is the most important and pressing. So I'll go ahead and hit return. It's created essentially a summary, the governance gap, what's missing, what to do about it. I could just step away and leave this conversation as is. If I come back to this chat later and I want to pick up where I left off, Claude Code will be able to look at just that final message as almost like its own executive summary, its own notes on what we talked about previously. Another option is that I could get this summary, and the way I would do that is just copy it by clicking right there and start a whole new chat with it. I could even take that to a different LLM or a different tool entirely. It's almost a way of making conversations portable. Context compaction is the difference between a Claude that is constantly letting details slip through the cracks and one that knows when it needs to stop and write down some notes or a summary of what you've done so far. Claude Code has the ability to pretty independently make a lot of changes to a lot of different files over a long period of time. But that also kind of raises the stakes. What if it does something wrong? What if it deletes something or damages something or just makes the wrong choices? After everything that Claude Code does, it creates what is called a checkpoint. Think of a checkpoint as when you used to play video games as a kid, or now, when you would click Save Game. Think of the security that that gave you, knowing that even if you died a few minutes later, you could rewind back to that point and continue from that point forward. This turns Claude from a fragile tool that you have to babysit all the time to a really powerful, experimentation engine that you can use to explore all these diverging pathways. This is really just as simple as saying, undo that last action. So in this example, the only real action it's taken is creating that new Guía de Constitución file. So there's not really much to undo, but just for the sake of example, let's say, yes, go ahead and delete the Guía file. This also works if you have it, say, organize the documents on your desktop or your downloads folder. If you decide you want to undo that, it will move every single one of those documents and files back to where they came from. You can feel free to just try things. Just have it go off on a tangent or have it plunge forward with something that it wants to do, knowing that at any point you could just say, undo this action or that decision and take me back to a previous checkpoint, and then you can just continue from there and try again. So those are the 5 beginner level features of Claude Code. And if you want to go deeper with me on what it looks like to build your own AI-powered second brain, I'm just about to launch a brand new cohort called the AI Second Brain. I encourage you to check out the link in the description and join me. And I'd love to know in the comments below what you found most useful, surprising, or interesting about this video.